Hello, good morning, everyone. This is April 2nd, 2022. It's my Saturday morning coffee chat. Got my coffee here. Just rolled out of bed. Been a long week at teaching at the machine shop. A lot of projects going on, a lot of stuff in your head. A lot of times it can be not just uh, physical work, but a lot of mental work sometimes. I think as machinists or people that do things mechanically, we tend to take on a lot of projects and we have our own personal projects. So it's like always working with our hands, always making something. Sometimes I feel I need a break from it, but it's just who I am. So even though I'm teaching it and doing it at the same time, I think when I was driving home last night, I deliberately put music on so I wouldn't have to think. Sometimes I listen to too many talk shows, which requires you to think, you know. And I think I just wanted to just, you know, think about nothing. Anyway, so it's Saturday, April 2nd, 2022 here in the Sarasota County, Florida area. It's probably going to be like 80 today. It's been very good weather this winter, I guess if you call it winter. It's our winter. We're rolling into spring until we get to the big fireball in the sky time of year when the sun is out all the time and it's probably 92 every day with max humidity. But now it's probably like the a summer when I was living in New England right now, being in the 80s, that kind of summer. So to us, it's our spring, but to anybody else that visits, it's their summer. So we understand that. We have a lot of people here. We call them snowbirds or visitors. Now, if you live in the Orlando area, there's you got the Disney kind of crowd, and there's more than Disney out there, but big visiting area. When I worked in Orlando, I used to be able to be going to work at the big defense plant, the biggest defense plant in the world, and I could tell who was in the country that year by cross when I cross International Drive every day going to work because it's a 20, it's all year place for people to visit. On this coast, we have vacationers. We have more like people that just more of a retirement kind of vibe on this side. And our county is the oldest average age in the state. So plus you get the driving issues that come along with that. But anyway, just my thoughts, random thoughts about living here, teaching here, and whatever else I do. I'm also I might have mentioned last time that I one of my hobbies was motorcycle drag racing, and I've actually gotten back into it. I've kind of gone in and out of it a few times. I know I'm 67 years old. I have other people that I race with that are older than me. But something I've done for a long time since the 1980s, on and off. It's mechanically involved, machining's involved, and you got to be physically fit. So I gained a lot of weight. My leathers were very tight. I had to have them sent back to the Vance and Leather Company to give it a little extra room. That was about many years ago, but I've actually ordered a new set. And the only reason I ordered a new set, I had to decide with, am I going to continue to do this or not? And I had my knee replaced and my shoulder repaired, both shoulders, and I've gotten in better physical condition. So I decided to buy a new set of leathers. What the heck? So now, like last night was it's been a week long. I'm in the shop after people left for the day at school, and I had to make some of my own parts. And some of the parts actually turned into projects. I've been using this Fusion 360 CADCAM system, and I thought it's been really easy to design. I used to try to use SolidWorks, and I couldn't quite get the hang of it. Yet the Fusion 360 has been SolidWorks might be as easy. Maybe I just didn't give it a chance, but I've been able to draw up little projects like spacers and things like that, and actually turned them into, usually I would do them myself. I said, "Well, why don't I just have students do it?" And it turned out to be pretty good. Like I had like a 4 spaces. So somebody to make 4 spaces on the lathe that's brand new has probably only been here 8 weeks. The repetitiveness of this actually makes you better because when you're doing one part at a time, and that's typically what you do in a machining class, you're making one part and you don't really know what you're doing and you're kind of trying to learn as you go and you're trying to make it so it's perfect. We call it perfect, but it passes inspection, you know, and you're learning. So you're going to make mistakes. What the heck? But here I go making some simple spaces. That's one of the first things we do on the lathe. So I thought I'd give him some more spacers to make, and it had a little step in it and hole through the middle. And by that, he was actually getting more proficient at it. He get to feel that he was getting better at it. So I think some of these things, even the personal projects, um, can be pretty good to use in the classroom. Other than the standard stuff that uh, I think we've all had to develop. I mean, when we start teaching this, we've got to, like, if you're in automotive, you got to fix cars. So we got to come up with projects, and some of the projects are in our certification program, like NIMS, National Institute of Metalworking Skills. But those are considered to be final projects, and you got to learn your way up to that level. So a lot of us have had to invent our own projects, and you need blueprints. So back to you got to be able to draw the parts, make a nice blueprint that looks kind of industry standard, and then make the parts. So it's sort of like the progression of that. So I'll tell you, even as I'm in my ninth year now, the ability to produce solid models and nice blueprints has been very good. We're always referring to the blueprint is the final say in everything. You could say I want something like this, but the blueprint determines how it's to be made. We actually have an engineering high school class next door to us, which is new this year. It used to be drafting class next door, but it turns out that they need parts also, and they like doing solid modeling computer stuff. And they said, we need blueprints. If you need something made, you just can't come over with your laptop showing us a picture of something. You have no idea what size the thing is. You need to have some kind of specifications. That's what we use in industry. So we kind of like learning from each other. We They're learning how to design for manufacturing, and they're learning how to hand off the information. And then the machinists are learning how to communicate with the engineer in order to tell them that what can be easily made, what's more difficult to make, that kind of stuff. So it's a good relationship. We make jokes. I think everybody in the industry says that we're all button heads, engineers and machinists. So that's just the way it is. My topic today was Florida machinist teaching, and it kind of came up. We have to, as instructors, have advisory meetings twice a year at the technical schools in Florida. Technical schools in Florida are uh, county schools for the most part. They're hooked up to the county school system, like your elementary, middle school, high school, and technical school. We call them ourselves technical colleges now, but we're still technical school. You don't get a degree from us, but you get a certificate. Uh, my faithful pup Sydney may be snoring over here if that's what you're hearing. So anyway, uh, the technical school has adults, which could be 19 years old, just out of high school, or just moved here or something like that, all the way up to your 60s, and also high school. And we call them dual enrollment. So they're like enrolled in our college as high school students, like a grade 11 and 12. So in our class, we have some dual enrolled high school and some college age. we'll call them college age. If I say adult, it sounds like me in class. Anyway, that's what we're doing. So all the technical schools in the state, it's not there's not like there's one in every county, but there's a pretty good supply of them. Then the other supply would be community college level, which is a 2-year state college. And in the machining area, there's only maybe 2 or 3 that do any machining at all. So all the machining courses are really done in the technical college area. I believe there may be 1 or 2 high schools only that do it. There are some high school only programs. Now, high school tends to be, I think, by period. You 50 minutes at a time. Where in our school, the high schooler is here for half a day, like 3 hours a day. So it's a pretty good system, I guess. So, but it is what it is. So, all right. When I first started teaching this, I had to learn like what the system was, what guidelines we fall under the Florida Department of Education. There are frameworks they call them, and we need to teach like what's on this sheet. And technically it's called machining technologies, and we have a new course called CNC production specialist, which is really CNC machining focused. Your machining technology, I call like the total machinist, which is everything in the shop, manual machining and CNC. So the goal, was to be what kind of for jobs, for careers, would be what kind of careers would they be going into. And the advisory committee is industrial people in your area, companies looking for people, determining what kind of wage would they receive and what kind of jobs would they receive. And then also is the school providing adequate education? Are we teaching too much? Are we teaching too little? Are we missing anything? So they review that. We meet in the fall, like the beginning, and then we have a review in the spring, which we just had. The topic all the time is recruitment, and I know in my area that's always we never seem to have a full classroom. Where if we go to the automotive, which has 4 instructors, and I didn't know till this year that they end up with a waiting list every year of high school kids, and then now we're saying like maybe they should have moved them to the overflow to our class, and I guess that just hasn't been happening. So anyway, what level? I got a punch list here. What level trainee do employers really need or want? So that's a topic in the advisory meeting I brought up. Do they need a tool and die maker? That's a traditional term. Mold maker is kind of in that category. Do they need like a high level CNC, Swiss CNC lathe? If Swiss lathe is a little bit different than a regular lathe, a setup man programmer, or do they need an entry level CNC machine operator? And if you get into manufacturing, you could say that manufacturing just needs people that can work in a factory and be able to assemble things and some kinds manufacture or modify things like that. So we have a program. We're tasked by the county and the Florida Department of Education to meet certain guidelines and standards, and they'd like to see certifications to verify that we're teaching them correctly. But I've been teaching all that kind of stuff, and I've actually I'm starting to teach in the higher levels of what we call CADCAM, which is computer aided design, computer aided manufacturing. That's software that's for programming CNC machines, basically. You got the CAD, which is the design side, which is what your engineers are working with. And we're using the CAM side in order to produce a process and machine language for the machines to run. And in machining now, the CNC machine is pretty much the primary machine that makes parts, versus in the World War II, it was the manual machine. If you talk about what we call the Bridgeport, the manual milling machine was the standard machine for making parts in the milling format. And now we got to the vertical CNC milling machine is now the top dog in that area. So anyway, back to what kind of jobs. Um, Now, in our state, we call them occupational completion points. We're not run by semester, we're run by hours. And like our machining technologies program is 1,500 hours, and the CNC production specialist is 600 hours. Now, in our school, we run the high school kids through the CNC production specialist because 600 hours, half a day, equates to about 1 year. You know, Proc is close because they're coming to school on semesters, or first quarter, second quarter, and then they're either in 11th grade or 12th, and we have 12th grade, so that when they leave me, they graduate. Now, hopefully, they go into industry. Most of them are going to college, so. But I've had one last year that went into industry, and he's done very well. And then so we call them occupational completion points. And depending on what program, if you're running HVAC program, like air conditioning, they might have 150 hours of this, 300 hours of that. Ours are broken up into like 300-hour segments, except for the C is 600 hours, and then there's a D, which is another 300 hours. So some of the discussion in the meeting was, and this is feedback from graduates, that they ended up at machine shops, and they said all I ended up doing was I became a button pusher. And that's a code word for a CNC mill operator, a machine operator. So in the end, if everybody's making parts on CNC machines, the machines have to run. They have to run, and that's kind of their job, to run as all the time and as often as they can, because they are automated, not totally automated, but it's like it's assisting us in order to make things. So the first level of CNC machining would be the man running the machine, or the I should say the person. Um, so I mean, we jokingly just call them button pushers, but they're a good CNC mill operator is very effective, and have to keep track of the machine, the maintenance, measuring, making sure everything's still up to spec, making adjustments, changing tools sometimes, reading your blueprint. Some of them are operating multiple machines. I've worked in some shops where you were operating one machine and setting up the next one. So it depends on the company and what their culture is at their company. But if many of our graduates who have been here 1,200 to 1,500 hours end up being CNC machine operators, you don't need 1,500 hours to get those kind of people. You only need probably 150 to 300 hours of training. So my suggestion was, why don't we take the first part of the course, OCPA, and call that our operator training, and we could put them in the field. Now, I mean, the school and everybody else, the goal is to have them go through the whole program. But the industry needs people. They just need them in the worst way. Probably there's a ratio of jobs to graduates is probably 5 to 1. Every student is going to get at least 5 job offers. And what we've been doing in school is putting people in what we call a job shadow program, like go to a company for 2 days and see how it looks, learn about it. And we want them to go to 3 places. And then we're going to pick one and put them in part-time. Or if you're near the end of the year, we'd roll into an internship. And then we have a local group called Career Edge that'll actually fund the internship. So they'll give back like money to the employer to help promote internships. So because the company will say, well, they're not really productive yet, but if you're refunding me the money, then it doesn't really cost me much to get them up to speed. So it's a pretty good relationship. Anyway, back to the talk about, we called it the Fax Track Training. We ran some rounds at night, but night school means somebody's got to come up with the money to pay for that. It's like me coming back and teaching again. they got to pay me, and they got to pay the school and stuff like that. So Career Edge had some people that would actually pay for the program. Some very generous people would pay for. We had automotive lube technicians. We had HVAC helpers, and we had manufacturing technicians. Of course, we try to have the companies hiring before they even come out. Manufacturing is always kind of quirky like that, where all these companies sometimes they don't talk to each other, even though they're all the same thing. So my idea was to recruit and teach fast track style, because we have empty seats in the classroom, so we could put people in the seats and we can get them into needed jobs right away. And the companies would start to get more of the CNC, let's just say CNC machine operator level people. Now, somebody could come into the class and say, "Oh, I really, really like this. I think I want to stay for more training." Because it might be daunting to look at the whole course and go, "Oh, I don't know if I want to do that. That's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to take a year and a half out of my life." But if you say 10 weeks, oh, that's not that long. And what if it was almost free training? We have the foundation money, like the Gene Haas Foundation, who's donated money to our school. We can apply for it, and many schools have. Why don't we use that money to pay for their tuition? We did want to make an idea of, we won't want people to show up and then not show up, and we end up wasting the money. But we want to help them. The Gene Haas Foundation wants more people in the industry, so that's the whole goal. If we can pay for their training using funding, now it'd be a short course. They may stay longer. They may just go in industry, and it almost costs them nothing. Why not? And it fills empty seats. We're there teaching anyway, so. And I thought of machine operator, and we also, a lot of schools are now teaching the Haas CNC Mill Operator course, and that gets a certification with that. Now, we're not here just to promote the Haas CNC machines. We know that all the companies in our area have all different varieties of equipment, but we're teaching fundamentals: how to be work safe, how to run this equipment and not crash the expensive machine, how to run the machine and stay on task and make good parts, make good equipment, make to specifications. So that was my thought on this. And I'm kind of also making this to reach out to other instructors in my state and maybe in other areas, the idea of that. So that was my topic this morning. I'm like, ooh, 22 minutes. I got to learn how to make these shorter. And maybe at some point I'll have a following. But that was my idea here, drinking my coffee this morning. So, and you may notice my that's what's called a CNC simulator in the back. That's actually the same control that's on the machine. So a lot of them learn how to get around a control unit. We have one of those in our shop. We have 10 of those. We have 3 CNC machines. We have 3 milling machines, manual, 2 lathes, 2 surface grinders, and we have a saw, a big drill press, stuff like that. We also have alternate control, so they can learn how to run a different machine kind of from the simulator point of view, so they can get kind of familiar with it. And also got on Friday, we teach what we call the Titans of CNC Academy course, and we have a shirt here. This is the first part they make, the Titan 1M. So after they make their first part, I buy them all shirts. So every Friday we wear these shirts, and that's Titan in the background. Very good course, by the way, if you ever want to teach that. And this is one of the hats I've got in the box when I've got T-shirts, from Shaney at Titans of CNC. So very good relationship with them. Okay, I'm going to just sign off for now and finish drinking my coffee and then go work on my motorcycle and finish putting the engine together with the little parts I made yesterday. Okay. Talk to you later. Hope to see you next Saturday. Bye bye.